Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, Go Fish BC on Shaw TV with your host Brian Chan from the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC. Go Fish BC is brought to you in part by the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, River City Marine, and Surplus Herbies.
Welcome to this week's episode of Go Fish BC on Shaw TV. It's a beautiful morning on the lake today, and this feature is going to be about fishing with how to catch rainbow trout and brook trout with floating lines, strike indicators, and chironomid pupa patterns. And so I've just landed a beautiful fish here on a chironomid pupa. We're going to do a quick throat pump to see exactly what they're eating, and then we'll talk about the setup and how you're going to catch lots of trout, lots of brook trout, even kokanee on chironomids under an indicator on a floating line. So just let this guy go. First we'll do a throat pump. Here. Throat pumps, as the name says, you're pumping the esophagus or the throat of the fish for live food items, not food in the stomach that's already digested. So you take your pump, you squeeze it in the water and get it wet, but get all the water out of the pump. Turn the fish upside down, like so. That'll calm them down. Slide the pump in to the narrow in the esophagus, and then just slowly back it out. And then we can let the fish go unharmed. It's going to live. Someone else is going to catch this fish, a beautiful rainbow, like so, and let them go. So I'm just going to take the throat pump now and put a little water in this petri dish and squeeze the contents out in there. And then we'll have a quick close-up look at what those bugs are to exactly match its size and color. And so fishing with indicators, it means floating line, your floating line, a leader that's long enough so that you can fish your chironomid pupa pattern within a foot or 2 feet of the bottom of the lake. And then we're going to be using strike indicators, like so, that keep your chironomid pupa suspended off the bottom. So it's like a bobber, it's a mini bobber. And so we're anchored in 13 feet of water here, and so I'm fishing about 12 feet of leader underneath the strike indicator. And the setup here, here's my chironomid pupa. It's tied on with a non-slip loop knot, so it pivots freely while it's hanging there. And then I've got a little number 12 barrel swivel about 18 to 20 inches above the fly, like so. And then there's the rest of my leader going all the way up until I reach the indicator, which it's right here. So chironomid pupa have a life cycle where they break out of the old larval shock and they wiggle, elevate, and rise slowly to the surface of the lake. And it can happen in 5 feet of water, it can happen in 35 feet of water, even 60 feet of water. The trout love to eat the pupa just as they're leaving the bottom of the lake. So you want to fish your chironomid pupa patterns close to the bottom of the lake. So 95% of your pupil fishing, the pupa pattern you're fishing is close to the bottom of the lake, within 2 feet of the lake bottom. It's a great way to catch fish. There's lots of different species of chironomids on our lakes, and they hatch almost virtually from the day the ice comes off a lake to the day the ice comes back on. So there's literally thousands of species of chironomids that live in lakes in North America. And so certainly in the lakes around Kamloops, there's probably several hundred different species. All we need to know as anglers is that chironomids come in different sizes and colors. And so when I look at chironomids in my box, I've got different sizes and different colors, and trout are not colorblind. And so you have to match closely size and color. And that's the challenge and the fun part of fishing chironomids. And that's why a throat pump can be so valuable, such a valuable tool when you're fishing chironomids and matching hatches and other insects that you're going to find in a lake. So chironomids hatch year-round from ice off to ice on. There's lots of them in the lake. It's a big food source. They're easy for the fish to feed on. They love to eat them. So get out there, try it, have some fun. See you next week on another episode of Go Fish BC on Shaw TV.
Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, Go Fish BC on Shaw TV with your host Brian Chan from the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC. Go Fish BC is brought to you in part by Freshwater Fishery Society of BC, River City Marine, and Surplus Hermes.